The way I make the bed drives the missus crazy. But it works for me. Okay, the story I wanted to tell you guys is going to have to wait a little bit because I'm at a baby shower in Boucherville. If you live in Montreal, then you know exactly where I am. If you don't, it's sort of a city on the other side of the river from Montreal. It's a suburb. But anyways, so I'm here for, you know, the next few hours at least. I'm obviously not going to shoot any of it. Okay. I have to say one more thing about this shower. One of the guests is a pastry chef, and he handled the desserts, and this is possibly the second best cupcake I have ever had.
Il s'arrête à Concorde, jusqu'au métro. Il va pas jusqu'à Montréal.
So when I was a teenager, I joined the Royal Canadian Air Cadets. If you're British, you know exactly what I'm talking about because you guys have the exact same setup. If you're Canadian, you obviously know what I'm talking about. If you're American, I don't know if you guys have an analog. Like, I would have assumed that because of the, you know, adulation for all things uniformed, you guys would have an air cadet set up, but I couldn't find anything. I was doing like a Google search a few years ago that sort of snowballed, and I ended up looking up air cadets for some reason. Anyway. I joined because when I was younger, I was extremely shy. Like, debilitatingly shy. The type of kid who, you know, if I ever got invited to a party, I would sit in the corner and speak to nobody. Like, in fact, it was so bad that if you came up to me and asked me a specific question, I wouldn't be able to answer it, you know? And I figured that the best way to get that kicked out of me was to join a cadet organization. And the reason I went for air was, especially because I'm not into flying, was just I knew someone in the air cadets. I didn't know anyone in the army cadets. I didn't know anyone in the sea cadets. So I joined that. Squadron was #1 West Montreal Squadron. Was supposed to have been the oldest one in Canada, but who the hell ever really knows that, right? It was a life-changing event for me. It definitely got rid of a lot of that shyness. I'm still a pretty shy guy. Like, I like to listen more than talk at any gathering. But it's nowhere as bad as it used to be. Like, I can actually talk to people now, you know? Anyway, one of the things that I learned to do in basic training was make my bed. Canadian Forces style, which is probably the same as any armed forces style. It was like a fitted sheet, a top sheet, a pillowcase, and a wool blanket. And, you know, we had to make it good and tight. We had to have 45-degree angles at the corners. The first thing you did when you wake up was make your bed. And I think that what it had to do with was you start your day accomplishing something, and that sets you up for accomplishing more things throughout the day. Or at least that's how I grew to understand it. You know, in my post-cadet world, the way I reacted to that, because I've always kind of had a problem with authority, with being told what to do. Outside of a freelance, like, you know, when I've got a client who's telling me what he wants, that's fine. But, like, I hate just being told what to do. And, I always had a bit of problem with authority. Not a massive one, but a bit. So, I didn't make my bed again for years and years and years, except if, there was a special occasion or whatever. But these days I make the bed because as I've grown into being a family man, and here's the thing, I'm tough to live with, okay? I know this. It's something I work on all the time. I'm a little selfish, less than I used to be. Becoming a dad changes that in a big way. in some ways I've never grown up. In other ways I really have. Maybe it's because of the shyness thing, but I find it easier to write about something or talk about it in this kind of synthetic setup than to sit down and actually talk to someone, which I have grown to understand is very hard for people to live with, you know. So doing things like making the bed, you know, getting up in the morning, and if there are a few dishes in the sink, doing them right away, or stuffing the dishwasher. The last thing I do before leaving for work is I just do a quick tidy, you know, just you know, something. These are the ways that I show that I'm really interested in helping keep the household running. Because generally speaking, naturally, I don't like doing all these minutiae. I don't like small talk. You know, I'm too busy sitting there, you know, in like utter gosh wow over the size of Jupiter, or you know, grumbling to myself about the latest idiocy of the government, kind of thing. You know, and that's the kind of stuff I like to talk about. You know, those are the kind of conversations that don't feel like you know, we're wasting, you know, the miracle of intelligence, kind of thing. But the fact is, to be an adult, you have to keep a house running. And to be in a couple, you have to be part of the process, you know? And so these are the ways that I make sure that I remain part of the process. And so I do them. And at the end of the day, it is nice to walk into your room and see the bed made. It's not about the bed, it's a metaphor. Or at least it is in my life. For some people, it's just making the bed and it's boring. But for me, it's something important. But anyway, there you go. Making the bed as metaphor for getting better at life. Tea's a good drink.